Okay. Craziness happened with Battlefield. That's pretty much what I can just say. The craziness happened with Battlefield. A lot of craziness. No problem. Yeah, a lot of craziness happened with Battlefield today, or as of this recording, I guess you would say yesterday, because we're in Tuesday and have it on Monday. There were some layoffs that happened. EA layoff staff across all Battlefield studios following record-breaking Battlefield 6 launch. This is coming from IGN. They came out with the story first, so we're just gonna see what they said. So they said this: EA has laid off an unknown number of individuals from across its Battlefield teams, including workers from Criterion, DICE, Ripple Effect, and Motive Studios. IGN understands. You guys do not know, Battlefield Studios obviously comprised of 4 studios turned into one called Battlefield Studios. DICE is more of the multiplayer side. Criterion is like the destruction plus maps. Ripple Effect is, if I do recall, Ripple Effect was the like new experiences, so it's like LTMs, I'm guessing, and then on top of that is RedSec, but mainly RedSec. Motive Studios was campaign and also some level designs or some maps. So yeah. So then they said individuals are being informed that the layoffs are taking place as part of a realignment, quote unquote, across the Battlefield studios as the team continues its ongoing live service support for Battlefield 6 following launch. All 4 studios will remain operational, though the layoffs seem to be impacting a variety of teams across multiple studios and offices. Now, a lot of people want to automatically assume that it's the whole acquisition with, you know, Saudi Arabia with PIF, and then like Affinity, I think it's like Affinity, a firm or something like that, or Affinity Firms, like the three people that purchased it for like $55 billion, but it's not that. And we'll get further into that. So then they said that IGN asked EA for a comment on the total number of types of roles impacted, as well as specific reasons for the layoffs. An EA spokesperson told IGN, "We've made select changes within our Battlefield organization to better align our teams around what matters most to our community. Battlefield remains one of our biggest priorities, and we're counting to invest the franchise guided by player feedback and insights of Battlefield, or from Battlefield Labs." Now, I will say this: people have talked about Battlefield Labs. People have gave feedback in Battlefield Labs. I have as well, about like certain issues and stuff that we have seen, and hopefully that it would be addressed and been fixed before like being released. Not all has gone through, or there was like an update and it, you know, somehow it undid a bug that happened in the past. It's not with only Battlefield. There are previous games that had it before. Call of Duty, they had it when there was like constant stim glitches that came back in Warzone and things like that. So it's understandable. I think it was just the amount of time that it took for, you know, when the issue was addressed or was stated and addressed to the time it was fixed. I think that's what it is. It's like depending on the time, how long it took. Like people are still talking about the whole, like still people to this day are still talking about the air radar. Season 2, we were supposed to get the air radar, but we still haven't seen it yet. So we're like, okay, so are we getting it mid season 2, which is going to be this the Hagenthal update with the night raid, or not night raid, but with the night not night operations, but you know, the night LTM mode where you use NVGs. Like, are we going to get the air radar then, or are we going to get it at the end of season 2? Like, they didn't really give us any type of timeline within season 2 of when we're going to get that, for example. Anyway, so Battlefield 6 was the best-selling game of 2025 in the United States. It sold a record-shattering 7 million copies in 3 days and was the best launch ever for a game in the franchise. While its campaign received a bit of mixed response from critics, including us, we gave the multiplayer an 8 out of 10 at launch. I will say this: the campaign I personally played, and I think I did a review on it, but I did a highlights. I have a highlights on my YouTube channel if you guys want to check that out. Fully can. And then also I have an unlisted link, I guess you say, to the campaign in that description if you guys want to see the full-on campaign. So I had the bot of that. So and you guys can make, come up with your guys' own opinions on it and everything. For me, it was just a lot of bugs to it, and the story kind of confused me, because there were so many things that could have been put in there that could have really like amped it up, could have enhanced it. I might do another playthrough because they have done updates over the past few months. They have done updates with it, but we'll see. I might just do it on my Xbox because I have it on Xbox. So yeah. Anyway, let's go further. There's the review. Then they said, however, the months since Battlefield 6's launch have seen the game begin to struggle from patch to patch. This is coming from, I believe, the winter update. Fans have criticized a number of updates due to reasons ranging from cosmetics to movement. A lot of people were talking about the movement, yes. And 3 months in, Steam reviews have fallen to mix from a mostly positive start. Major issues reported include criticism of heavy monetization. This was, I think it was the Battlefield. So you had the Battle Pass, and then you had BF Pro. And people were talking about like, oh, we can't access the radios because of BF Pro, things like that. And then on top of that, there were like weapon blueprints that you can get for like the weapons that you have to already, you have to like earn doing the like through the Battle Pass. You can already get a blueprint for that said weapon. So it's kind of like it almost seems like, it has that pay to win feel to it type of thing. So then they also said the use of generative AI for in-game cosmetics. Yes, there was a sticker, the winter snowflake one that had like the barrel with the two, or the M4 with the two barrels, and then like a duplicate dust cover. It's what it looked like, things like that, and people were like really criticizing on that. Oh, and then also it wasn't generative AI. I'm not entirely sure, but then it was like one of the skins where it looked like a Call of Duty Ghost mask. It looked like it represented Call of Duty Ghost as well. So yeah. And then they said, and if your content updates than expected, which a lot of people were talking about with maps, things like that. They said the criticism was heavy enough that the teams delayed the start of season 2 to allow more time to implement community feedback. EA recently published a 3-month roadmap for expected updates. Now, when they delayed season 2, we thought it was going to be like a lot of people thought it was going to be addressing, the issues that happened, especially in the winter. Was it the winter offensive update? The 12.110, I think. No, not 12. I think it was 1150. I think that's what it was. I think that was the update number. It was 1150. But that was that was like a crucial, like a critical part of it, because it seemed like a lot of stuff that they fixed and they worked on and they fixed, like helicopter mobility and things like that, especially in the attack chopper. Some of the guns, like how they fired and everything. It felt like it was like the updates that fixed towards it were undone. Now, when it comes to that, I believe it might, and I could be wrong, but my best guess is there was some sort of disconnect when it came to packaging, right? When it came to packaging a build, maybe when one team was working on something, like they put it in, like they did their little fixing and they put it in there, and another team was fixing something else and they put it in there, but probably there was an overwrite of the other person's, of another team's work or something, and that could possibly cause that issue. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure of how their workflow goes, but that I have like a small suspicion that could be a thing. That could have been a thing. So anyway, here we go. So Steam concurrence also have also dropped significantly following Battlefield 6 big launch, when it hit a huge 747,440 peak. Steam concurrents are now typically in the tens of thousands. For example, Battlefield 6 hit a 67,000 peak concurrent players on Valve's platform yesterday. Of course, Steam's numbers do not paint the whole picture of a game's popularity or success. That is true. But that's like the only data that we actually have. Public data, let's put it that way. Given Battlefield 6 is also available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, but they do give us a sense of where a game is at. And in Battlefield 6's case, the drop-off may have been more dramatic than EA has expected. Meanwhile, the free-to-play Battlefield Battle Royale, RedSec has had problems of its own, with mostly negative Steam user reviews rating the recent post. Now, if I recall, when it comes to the RedSec in that issue, is that there was a lot of heavy Battlefield fans, a lot of, not heavy Battlefield, but there's a lot of Battlefield fans that were like, we just want Battlefield with the multiplayer, just work on the multiplayer. The multiplayer is going to be like, you know, as long as you guys work on the multiplayer, Battlefield's going to do great. Adding RedSec to it may, I don't want to say blur the lines, but people are saying like it may cause an issue where they're going to work on RedSec and the content for RedSec and disregard multiplayer type of stuff. Basically going through a Call of Duty, going down the Call of Duty rabbit hole. Did they do that? Not really, because there has been issues with RedSec as well, along with multiplayer. So people are still trying to tie like, oh, RedSec is the problem, is the reason why multiplayer hasn't been fixed or hasn't been addressed or fixed. I don't think that is the case. I just think it's an all-around issue of like what they're trying to do, like trying to fix multiplayer, and then on top of that, trying to add more content in, which maybe it is overwhelming. Maybe it is they don't have enough resources or enough people. So, which leads to a question of mine is, when it comes to having those 4 teams, you know, the 4 studios, like who is coming in and supporting what team in what areas? So like who's coming in and supporting Ripple Effect when it comes to RedSec and stuff? Is it Motive? Is it like Part of DICE? Are they doing it as well? Or Criterion? When it comes to the maps, or when it comes to multiplayer, is it Criterion, you know, with a little bit of their damage, because Criterion is known for destruction. Look at Burnout. And then is it like also Motive, like because they have stored, like they did the campaign and they do maps, but like, you know, trying to see like where things are allocated, and maybe it's an allocation problem, not entirely sure. So yeah, so then going further than that, they said also these layoffs come from just months after the unexpected death of Battlefield franchise head Vince Zampella in a car accident. If you guys do not know, Vince Zampella during it was in December, has passed away due to a fatal car accident. Those who do not know who he is, the man created Call of Duty. He went from EA when he made when he helped worked on Medal of Honor, Allied Assault from EA. There was some discrepancy that happened. So then he went to Infinity Ward, created Call of Duty, which was codenamed Medal of Honor Killer, made a series of Call of Duty games, which is Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, just made the Modern Warfare series pretty much. And then due to another discrepancy with Call of Duty, or the Activision Call of Duty, he was like, all right, I'm leaving. So then he leaves, comes back to EA, but then he makes another studio, which is Respawn. And that's how we got Titanfall, Apex Legends, Titanfall 2. That's how we got those games. And then, you know, later on, Battlefield 2042 wasn't doing so hot. And Battlefield 6, they needed some help. So he was like, I got you. Let me go ahead and get in on this. This is what we're going to do. Was like directing the whole thing, which was good. Now, yeah, it was directing the whole thing, and that was good. We had the open beta, the closed beta, the open beta, which did very well. Then they had the LAN, that happened as well. Excuse me. Had the LAN event, which a lot of people were very impressed, and things like that. And then this happened, so, which is very unfortunate, very, very, very unfortunate. So, so I can understand, like, understand that part where it's like, hey, you know, you just had like your like, I don't know, head of creative. I'm not sure exactly his. Hold on, let me see. Let me look at what his position was. Vince Ampella, Battlefield 6. Role. What was his role? Let's see. He was a group general manager for the Battlefield franchise. Okay. So tasked EA with leading the rebuilding of the series following Battlefield 2042. As head of the combined Battlefield studios, he focused on returning the franchise to its roots, focusing on core gameplay mechanics and long-term player focus improvements. Okay, so he was the group general. He was a GM. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay. What's going on, Hans? I made a horrible mistake. I went over to the ASMR side of Twitch and clicked on the number one person. Whether I highly regret my decisions that was discussing. I don't deal with that. I don't deal with ASMR. That is terrible. Anyway, so following the article, I'm sorry. They said this. They said also, come as EA is preparing to be acquired by the investor group composed of Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, the PIF, Silver Lake, that's the other one, and Affinity Partners, not Infinity Group. I thought it was Affinity Group, but it's Affinity Partners. The big three people, for approximately 55 billion. However, the acquisition has not yet closed, so the acquisition is still like going through the finalization, I believe. It's expected to close in the first quarter of 2027 financial year, or April, May, and June of this year. Okay. IGN understands internally, EA is stating that the layoffs are unrelated to the acquisition. Who knows? And that was it. And that's it for the thing. So people are talking about, what's going on with it, and it is insane. It's insane. So, Wario, this is where I got the information. This is where I found out about this. I was like, holy crap, let me look into this. Legendary drops a comment on it, says, if you're wondering why, this is it. And it's a link it was an article that came out that said EA reportedly expects Battlefield 6 to have 100 million players, 3 times more than the series' best seller. Oh, what can you even say to that? So people are saying, is it possible that it was they overpromised? Is that the possibility? We have no idea. We have no idea if it was due to like overpromising, having the confidence saying like, hey, we're gonna have this many players, and then like obviously it didn't reach the expectations of it. Not entirely sure. And then we have some creators that were talking about it. Kamikaze, he was an awesome content creator. Make sure to go check him out. And a few other people as well. They were talking about this. Kamikaze said this. He said, Jesus. He says, so the franchise sees record sales and success is then dropped with this epic live service that was teased by EA's CEO, and now we lay people off after they bring you said record success as a company. This one actually pisses me off. There's a really high chance that this is why we've heard nothing about the Elite series kicking back off again. So if you guys do not know what happened with the RedSec Elite series, there was an open series and there's Elite series. The Elite series was like all like known content creators, from like big content creators from Battlefield, and also from like other platforms and stuff like that, in other games. They were all going to compete in this series that the prize pool totaled up to $1 million, but I guess like I guess the highest was like $500,000 or like $600,000 or something like that. And originally the open series got canceled because there was just complications with the updates and things like that. Then with the Elite series, same thing happened. There was issues. I tried doing a watch party on it and everything, like watching OCE, OCE has to watch them try to compete and everything. That's how I found a lot of these people, including Kamikaze. Then I tried to find like the one for the UK, and then Americas, and then LATAM, things like that. Only the UK or only Europe had one game, and the issue that they had basically with RedSec was all the teams were able to deploy out of the helicopters except one team. One team was actually stuck, and people were wondering if it was the winter update, the winter offensive update that came out, I think it was like a week before, if that was the issue. Because a lot of people were stating like when they were playing RedSec before the update, it was fine. But then when this update came out, that's when problems started to arise. So it could be a possibility, not entirely sure. So then anyway, it said Battlefield 6 wasn't just the best-selling Battlefield of all time, it was the best-selling FPS game of last year, bar none. So so we are now in an industry where being the best wins you being laid off. I really hope that everyone affected here lands on their feet again, because this is straight up unfair for those affected. Greed of the highest caliber by EA on a full display here. Yeah, and it's again, it sucks that people like it does seem unfair. It does seem unfair that people are being laid off of the success of a game. Like, you know, you're like, hey, the game did very well, it did amazing, but unfortunately it's not enough and people are just getting laid off. Let me see here. There's more that was talking about the situation with Battlefield, and I was like, oh no. Yeah, so then there's this one by Reeves Gaming, or Rebs or Miss Reeves. He said, I found confirmation that EA laid off employees across multiple Battlefield 6 studios. One of the employees here worked at EA, and another one worked at Ripple Effect. Tom, who worked as partner studio, says that they were just celebrating Battlefield 6's Game of the Year award they won at the UKIE Video Game Awards 3 days ago. Also, Battlefield 6 was the US top selling game of 2025. So then, yeah, have a few people that were talking about it. They said, wow, one of the most provide our industry can be. Just a few days ago, I was celebrating the Game of the Year award with our partners at Battlefield Studios, and today I learned some of their teams are going through layoffs as well. Wishing everyone impacted a safe landing. They are an incredible group of devs, and any new studio would be lucky to have them. And then have this person who is a senior game designer, 8 years of experience. Hi folks, I was sadly part of today's EA's layoffs for the Battlefield 6 team. So I'm interested in hearing about designer roles for games. And another one is an associate game designer. This one at Ripple Effects. I think unfortunately I was part of I was part of today's EA layoffs on Battlefield 6 today. I am interested to hear on any openings for QV or design positions for gaming. Please feel free to reach out. See, and then that's also a big thing when it comes to the game industry itself, is the game industry is very, people say very volatile, but it's like very mysterious, I guess you would say, because there are people that have, you know, great work, that have like almost little to none experience in the game industry, and that's what's hindering them from even being able to join an industry, if that makes sense, or be able to be hired into the industry. Like, if you do not have 3 to 5 years of experience in the industry, you're not going to get, you're not going to get in. They're not going to allow you to be in. Or it's like another way for you to actually, like a way for you to be in is either have the 3 to 5 experience, or what I have been seeing over on LinkedIn and across multiples, is that if you're you can sign for an internship if you are in school. And that's also another thing. So if you are not in school and you do not have 3 to 5 years of experience, it is extremely difficult, almost near impossible, for you to get a job in the industry, which is how it is. It all started with QA and QV positions in the US. Those all got cut and now it's outsourced. The only thing that you can get related to QA is being a QA lead, but you have to have experience as a QA tester, if that makes sense. So, and the thing is, when it comes to those, you have to look very specific of what they're looking for, because I'm gonna give you guys a little backstory. I got called up by a recruiter on LinkedIn. First of all, I thought it was a scam. It wasn't a scam. Then I talked to people about it. I said, what's the name of the studio that they're, that the studio is looking for, or like, what's the name of it? And it was, I'm not gonna really say the name. I don't want to call them out, but they told me about it. I did some information, some research on it. So I was like, okay, went forward with it. Did my resume. We cleaned up the resume and everything. Then they're like, all right, this is good. I'm gonna recommend you to my other like agent or whatever, who is in direct contact with them. So then she looks it up. Then like this person, she looks it up and everything. She's like, okay, I have some questions about your resume. And I was like, okay. Like, okay, so you did Battlefield. You did like you QA tested for Battlefield. You QA tested for Apex Legends for a few seasons. And I said, yes. And they said, well, the only issue is you do not have 2 years of experience. You only have 1 year of experience, or a year and a month. And I said, oh, I was like, okay. They said, so that's the hard part. Now, just let me know what you did for QA testing. So I told them exactly. I was like, so what we did was we got tasked to, find to just play the game, and if we ran into any bugs or anything like that, we report it. And then that was the marking there. So remember, what I did was QA, and then what they are looking for is QA as well. But what's not stated in the description, and this is what's one of the things I was harping on when I tell people about description stuff, they need to be more like these jobs need to be more descriptive of what they are actually looking for, because same title and everything, right? There's like, oh, we're actually looking for somebody. I didn't get the job because they're like, we're looking for somebody that would go in and intentionally break the game, and you didn't do that. I was like, yeah, because we weren't allowed to do that. We were just told we had to play test the game. We couldn't just go in and intentionally go and break the game. Would I want to do that? Yes, but guess what? I would have got fired for that because I'm going against what I was told not to do, right? So I didn't get the job, clearly. And that's why she's like, do you have any questions, anything like that? I was like, yes. The studio that's looking for this, and if they ever do a posting of it, they need to be more, they have to clarify this, because this can cause multiple issues and a lot of confusion. So yeah. And this is why a lot of people are going into indie. People are making their own games. People are joining smaller indie studios and stuff. But a lot of people really want to join big industries to make blockbuster titles and stuff like that. They are. On top of that is because of the pay. People are hurting for money. I'm hurting for money. I ain't gonna lie. I'm hurting for money. A lot of people are hurting for money. They just want to get a job. That's pretty much what it is in the industry. But unfortunately, there's just like so many things we got to jump. There's so many hoops and stuff we got to jump through. A lot of people are just like, forget it. I'm just gonna make my own game. If it takes off, it takes off. If it doesn't, hey, I can put down a resume. I made a game. I published it. It did this. It did this. Remember, type of thing. But anyway, yeah, a lot of people were talking about stuff with about what Rebs was talking about. So let's go ahead and look in here. It said effed up industry. Danny said it said a real question. What is the roles of the people who got fired? How many people? It could have been 2 janitors from each of the studios, or one specific role for each studio. Video game awards don't make you money. Highest selling game because the previous leader stopped selling. Devs with 8 years of experience. They said these aren't freelance contractors rotating out. These are industry vets being thrown away like trash. Yeah. Isn't this very common among big developers, where the girthy team needed to launch the game isn't needed to maintain it? They don't need enough devs and designers to build an entirely new game at all times if they are maintaining a live service environment. Am I off? I will say this when it comes to, let's see here. This person said, it's video games. It's video games. They don't need everyone all the time. They won't just pay them to wait until the next production. It's like expecting people to working on a movie to stay once the movie is out. And then bro, senior roles. And my thing is when it comes to like the game industry in general, they might as well just, this might be a hot take, but when it comes to just the game industry and the way how things are, they might as well just say every single job, every single position is a contracted job. You're there to work on the game. Once that game is done and it's released and it's out, your contract is up. If we want to keep you, we will do an extension. We'll renew your contract, do an extension to work on the next game, or we'll extend your contract to do updates of that said game, of the game that you did that came out. That's my thought when it comes to it, like what they should do. Because hiring somebody and saying, oh, it's a permanent position, and you're like, okay, cool, it's a permanent position, but you know in the back of your head that you have to not work on, but you have to, like, you're thinking like, is it possible I can get laid off? Yes. I'm going to have to look for another job. So you're like, while you're working, like, instead of having your main focus on working, you also have to have a little bit taken away to go actually, you know, to actually go and, I'm trying to think of the name, the term for it. You have to like scout for another position as well. And that shouldn't be the case. Like back in the day when you worked at a game industry, even in early 2000s, probably like 2010, early 2000s, 2010s, when you worked at industry, it was just like, there was still like a 60% of job security there. Like if you got a permanent role, you were there for at least 3 or 4 years. But
City boy! City boy!
it is what it is. Oh, thanks so much for the follow, Saw. Thank you so much. I think I'm messing up your name. I am so sorry. But yes, that is what's going on in this industry and just what's going on with Battlefield. Like, I hope that people do land on their feet. Like, I hope that the people that are affected do, you know, hopefully they do reach, or they do get another job and things like that. Because again, the industry right now is brutal. It is brutal. If you are not an industry vet, it is very, 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 very difficult to get a job, to get a position. Yeah. So, if there's any more information that comes out when it comes to Battlefield and stuff, I'll make sure to try to update you guys on that. But yeah, it's insane to see what's happening. So, stop channel. I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna play some more Battlefield because we need to level these guns up. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.